Hello everyone, welcome back to this channel named C Inside Angle and this series named Going Beyond Marksheets. Today we have a set of panelists with us for this roundtable discussion. People who've recently become very famous, but deserve the fame for sure, given the amount of efforts they've put in the last year, 5 years or so, even more for that matter. People who do not need any introduction, I'm assuming, but still, All India Rank 1, CA Harsh Chaudhary, All India Rank 2, CA Shikha, and All India Rank 2, CA Ramyashree. Thanks a lot to all three of you for accepting the invitation for this roundtable discussion. And I'm sure me as well as all our viewers are very excited to hear from each of you on how your journey has been so far. Thank you so much. So, starting right away and jumping to the first question, and want to kind of make it a little fun going ahead. So, my first question here is, which movie character do you guys associate yourself with? Anyone wants to answer? Harsh?
Yeah, actually, there is no movie character per se. There was a character in the song named Rise by League of Legends, where the person which is actually there, he overcomes all the obstacles and barriers which come up in his way, and the way he fights back whatever is given up to him. So that character used to motivate me, and I just like seeing him up like how he actually overcome it and all. So that was my motivation, and he's the character I would like to associate myself with.
That's quite interesting and exciting. And one thing that when I can understand from what Harsh is saying, what happens is often not movie characters, but often there are things that motivate you that could be extract as well. But things is all is in the mind at the end of the day. Ramesh, anything, any movie character you would want to associate yourself with?
Yeah, I'm sure all of us would have watched Three Idiots. Like it is all-time favorite of all of us. So I would like to associate myself with the lead character of that is Ranchor Das Shamal Das Chancellor. There are two main reasons why I want to associate myself with him. The first reason being his value for friendship. Like he matters friendship a lot. Like he even went to the extent of stealing the question paper for the sake of friend. So maybe because I have few friends of mine, only hand count friends. I can do anything for them. So that's what liked in him. And the second thing is his way of looking at the knowledge, like learning not for the sake of just clearing the exams, but for applying in future and knowledge. So that's how I wanted to lead my life. So that's the character I would like to associate with.
So I think one takeaway for me from here is be Ranchor Das if you want to get an All India rank, but much rather framing it in other words, in the words of Ranchor Das, के knowledge के पीछे भागो, degree के पीछे मत भागो,
हाँ,
and
exactly.
degree is definitely degree अपने आप आपके पीछे भागेगी,
Exactly.
so that is going to be there. But one very, I mean, I'm very curious or inquisitive to know who is the Chatur of your story, but we'll keep that discussion for some other day. There may not necessarily be a Chatur, but yeah, that's great to hear. My next question is, and something that I really, when one happens to see an All India rank on the screen, and especially when it's an All India rank 1 or 2, and I'm sure when I say this, there's be nostalgia hitting your heads, and there'll be goosebumps probably hitting you right now, and you would want to go back and visit that moment. At that very instant, spur of the moment, what was your reaction? And has there been any unique reaction after your results, like in terms of either family members or friend? Anyone wants to share a unique reaction?
It was, I would share my reaction. It was not very unique, but just one day before the results, I was just overthinking about कि भगवान दोनों group में pass करा देना. And towards the night, I secured a rank in foundation, so I knew कि 1, 2, 3 rank को call आता है ICIC. So I was just thinking कि यार वो कितने lucky होते होंगे कि 1, 2, 3 rank को call आएगा. And thinking that only I slept. And the next day I was informed at the call only कि आपको second rank आई है. And it was just like my imagination या मेरी जो fascination है वो come true हो गई. And it was very emotional, really. I never saw my parents crying, so it was a really dream come true.
So let's say manifestation or law of attraction does
Yeah,
work.
right. It does.
And definitely there's no harm in manifesting something, and obviously I'm sure you've worked out for it as much, and I can resonate to that to quite some extent, because when my results came, I was actually speaking to a friend over call who had actually seen my merit list because I couldn't open it, and he opened it before me. And that very moment when I told my parents that I cleared, let alone I had not shared the rank yet, and they started crying. Like, okay, I mean, it's definitely a great feeling for them as well, much more than probably it is for you. And just today I went to a friend's success party, and I could see the satisfaction in his parents' eyes after he cleared CA, and it's paramount. Cool, but that definitely is a great achievement, and we are all working hard. We've all worked hard for that 1 second of happiness. I mean, the happiness is to stay for the entire life, but that 1 second of shock, I would say, but in a positive manner for sure. Now, jumping on quickly to my next question, and something I'm sure, I mean, most of you, or in fact, all of you, would be asked this question by all the students out there as to which faculties you took your lectures from, or whether physical classes are better or virtual classes are better. So, can we talk about the virtual versus physical classes discussion a bit? Anyone of you wants to throw light on what is better when it comes to CA final?
Okay. Actually, I personally took every classes from online only. So there was no physical classes for. But yeah, what I personally believe is if we talk about concentration and focus, that's more in the physical classes, not in the online classes. Because whenever we used to see the classes in the laptop, I used to use mobile along with it, and there were other things as well, like going on and stopping up the classes and taking up the 5-10 minutes break or 15 minutes break. So the class used to extend to the whole day instead of getting completed in 3 to 4 hours. So that was the point which I personally felt would have been better if there would have been let's say offline physical classes. But yeah, there are benefits as well, like traveling time is saved, and whenever we want to see at our convenience, we can see it. So yeah, there are pros and cons of both the classes, let's say. But yeah, I personally believe if you can concentrate on it, focus on it, and maintain it for the long time, then personally that will be better like let's say online classes. Else physical classes are a good thing.
Totally agree with you, Harsh. In fact, especially when it comes to CA final level, given the fact that there's so much of uncertainty in terms of our articleship hours. I mean, there are days when we have a lot of work, there are days which are slightly lighter. I think having that flexibility or convenience to watch the lectures at our own pace is something that is very invaluable. But there comes a big risk of us not being sincere enough when it comes to online classes. And then I think online classes are a boon, but I think one thing that we need to make sure is that it's sincere enough to watch them. Otherwise, what keeps happening with most of the people, like you said, and it happened with me also, despite the fact that let's say I'm watching the lecture at 1.5x, I'd still end up taking a 4 hours for just a 3 hours lecture, and that still ends up happening. Can't help. But still, I think that my take also is that online lectures are better so long as sincerity is there. Also, one more question. I think when you talk about lectures, it's also pertinent to talk about your preparation, your self study, etc. I mean, the people always say, a lot of people say that if you want to get a rank, it makes sense that before the studies start, it makes sense for you to complete your entire course. So I wanted to ask you. By when did you start your self study, or did you actually study complete your studies before your studies started, and then study leaves was all about distribution? Harsh, starting with you.
Yeah, actually, I started up my classes in June 2020, and they were ended up by let's say end of June. So before my study leaves, which started on 1st June, I was like almost done with my classes. There was 15-20 classes left of IDT. But yeah, as far as self study is concerned, I was not able to do any sort of self study during the articleship period because in Big Four's environment, the work pressure is too much and the work is also hectic. So following all these things, I was not able to do any self study. So what I personally thought is, and when I was comparing up with the other of my peers, like how they are actually performing and what they have actually covered till now. So most of them were done with let's say self study, and some were also done with 1 or 2 revisions. So that kept me in a demotivating sense. And even I used to feel like what will happen at the next, like I won't get any rank or something. So that were the in the starting phase of June. That was my perspective. But yeah, over a period of time, when I self-studied in June, July, August, September, and when I did 2 or 3 revisions, I got the comfort like that 2-3 revisions are totally more than enough to secure a rank or even a rank 1 or 3 in the finals. So I personally believe that the last 5 months of the study days are the actual key to perform in the exams rather than the self-study we did do in the phase of articleship.
Totally agree. But any contrasting views from either Shikha or Ramyashree? Ramyashree, anything you want to share?
Yeah, I mean, I did my 2 years of articleship and I opted for industrial training in my last year. So because of that, I did it one of the PSUs, MRPL. So the timings was like 9 to 5:30 was the time. So I had ample time after coming back home. So I took classes only for 2 subjects, and then 6 was self-study for me. So I finished one time reading and the classes by June 30th. I got study leave from July 1st. So from July 1st, it was first, second, third, and fourth revision. So that I got a confidence that before my study leave is approved, I am done with all the classes and my self-study. So that confidence helped me to do revisions in the 4 month study leave. The panic was not there that I am not still done with my syllabus.
Makes sense. I think the one thing that I take away from your discussion, like both what you and Harsh said, is the confidence is more important rather than when you do it. I think Harsh
Correct.
also said, when he did the second and the third reading during those study leaves, he felt more confident about the course. And similarly, you said maybe you ended up doing one reading before June 30th, but that gave you confidence. So I think it depends more on what gives you more confidence, and also it definitely depends on the external factors, like how much time your articleship or industrial training allows you. But the point probably is that there's no rule of thumb over here.
Correct.
I mean, we can definitely see rank one, rank two, maybe follow different strategies, but they ended up almost at the same place. So which means that it all depends on you as to what you would at the end of the day, or what gives you confidence, and what probably is best suited in your circumstance. But there's no rule of thumb. Makes a lot of sense. And after, I mean, we talked about the study space, we talked about the classes. Coming to the exam days, what happens is with most of the CA students, given the course is such vast, and in fact, what I feel is what makes CA course so tough is the vastness of the course and the difficulty of covering it in the last 1.5 days. This makes a lot of people very nervous and anxious when they see the exam paper or during those 16, 17 days of exams. Did any of you face such nervousness or anxiety? And if you did, how did you cope up with it?
Yeah, to be honest, that 16 days period is like a hectic. You will undergo a lot of tension, pressure, stress, anxiety, because you would have studied for 3 to 4 months, and then suddenly you realize that you have to finish the entire syllabus in just 1.5 days, which you were not able to finish in 3 4 months. So that puts a lot of pressure on you. So even if one of the papers goes bad, also then again you'll feel that this paper went bad, and you, even for me personally, my law and DT was not as per my expectations. So I felt that I should quit, that it's not going to work out for me. So that thought even came to my mind. But then the way I coped up with that nervousness and pressure is the family support supported a lot to me. And the one thing which I always followed, one piece of advice which I got is like, mind is like water. If you stay calm, I mean, as long as the water is calm, you can clearly see your reflection. But when you drop a leaf or a stone into it, you get ripples and you'll not be able to see the other side of it clearly. So same is the case with the mind. So as long as you're calm and composed, whatever you've studied comes to you automatically. But when you're under pressure and stress, you will get confusions, and if even the things gets worse, like 2 plus 2 will be equal to 5 sometimes in examination hall. So yeah, that's what I followed. My brothers said that, and I always followed it.
I, in fact, totally agree. And such a beautiful analogy that you've given, that the mind is like water. And I can't agree more to it. I mean, given the fact that I honestly have felt from my CA journey that the CA course obviously is about test of your knowledge, but more than your test of knowledge is probably the test of your mental abilities, your, let's say, your calmness, how you're able to handle pressure, or do you end up succumbing to it. I think that is what CA course is more about. I think someone who's prepared well but succumbs to pressure is definitely not able to perform well, rather than if someone has prepared okay but keeps his mind calm, will definitely end up performing well. And at the end of the day, what would matter? I mean, your marks will depend on what how you've performed in those 3 hours. So it definitely,
Yes.
it makes sense to keep your mind calm in those 3 hours and those 16 days of exam. And because of this reason, because of the amount of pressure that is there in those 16 days, I in fact have drawn an analogy. I actually feel those 16, so the Battle of Mahabharata lasted for 18 days. I compare the CA final journey, I mean, those 16 days of exam with the Battle of Mahabharata, because
Yeah.
that is actually that is the level of importance of CA final exams in our life. And I actually feel it's a battle for us to fight, but then we need to make sure to reach to the 18th day or the 16th day, and not just reach there, but end up winning. So we should
Winning,
not
yeah.
give up in those 16, 18 days, is the thing that I used to tell myself. And that is probably what kept me going. But thanks for the beautiful analogy, Ramyashree, that you shared. And you spoke about your nervousness, anxiety after the law and DT papers. But that one thing that I wanted to actually ask you all is, which is that one subject, or which are those 1 2 subjects that are the most dreadful out of all the subjects, which, let's say, you feared a little, and how did you, let's say, ace that particular subject? Let's say it start with Shikha.
It was definitely audit for me. So I did not score good marks in my intermediate. So I made a plan to revise audit regularly for around 2 to 3 hours each day for the 4 or 5 months. So I divided the chapters wise and the content according to the months I had in my hand. So division of work was the key to score good in audit.
Makes sense. What about you, Harsh?
Yeah, that was same for me all the time, all too. But yeah, what I personally felt is audit was not that much difficult for me because I cannot score in inter. The perspective which was there is, in standards of auditing usually covered in the whole syllabus. And in the final, those standards of auditing were there too, and those compassed just 20-30 marks. So the vastity of the audit final was the actual thing which actually, excited me, like how I'll actually be coping up with it and how I'll actually be doing it. So what I personally done for it, like I did self study first of all, because whatever the classes we might have seen, we would have forgotten all these by the time the self we would be doing the self study. So I did self study and then did 2-3 revisions, and also focus more on those aspects where I knew that most of the paper will be coming, like the standards of auditing, professional ethics, and all these chapters. I revised them 3-4 times, and rest chapters I revised 2-3 times, so as to make sure that I score at max marks that I can achieve in this subject.
Makes sense. Makes sense. What about you, Ramyashree?
To me, it was SCMP. The way I coped up with this, like I used to study every day, all the 8 subjects for 2 hours each. But for SCMP, it was 3 hours because I used to dedicate more number of hours for that. And I solved all the past years, RTPs, MTPs, and question papers. For all other subjects, I solved twice. But for this, I solved thrice. And also the case study digest which is there in the ICI website. So that helped. And most of the questions came from that only in this attempt. So trying more number of questions and solving more number of times helped me a lot.
Makes sense. I think to resonate with all of you, the most dreadful subject for me was number one, audit, and number two was SCMP. SCMP is slightly less as compared to audit. Audit, I mean, I personally feel nothing beats audit, but then obviously it's different for everyone. And one takeaway from all three of you, the one thing that all three of you shared in common was to revise such a subject for one more time, or let's say to revise it more number of times. That will make it easier for you. I would not say it will be easy, but at least relatively easier, and you'll be able to at least let's say clear the exam. And next is, I think one thing that Shikha rightly said was to break it into parts. I mean, to that'll make it easily conquerable rather than what, like, let's say Harsh said, the vastness of the course is what makes it tough. Which is like to break it and probably revise it more number of times. That is something that is probably an ideal strategy to prepare any subject that you feel is dreadful, not just audit. And in fact, talking about breaking into paths, etc. That is one thing that probably people learn from mistakes. I mean, in my case, the first reading I had tried to do it all at once, and I mean, in the second reading, I realized I probably need to break it in parts. So that was a mistake that I did in my first reading, so far as audit was concerned. So talking about mistakes, do you guys think you made any mistakes during a CA final preparation, which you feel you want to advise your juniors they should not make, or let's say not a mistake, but anything in your entire CA journey? Let's say if I give you a chance to change anything, go back and change anything in your CA journey, what is it that you want to change? Anyone who want to share?
During my initial articleship days, I had a fear of missing out, what we say FOMO, that if I am in a party, so I would think about why am I not doing my lectures and sitting in my room or studying. So I corrected that initially, and secondly, if I made a plan and it couldn't work out, so I would go on a guilt trip which could last for 2 to 3 days. So what I did was to just stay calm, stay focused, and think about the present situation. So what is happening currently and living in the present is what I want to correct back then, and what I want to do it right now also.
Makes sense, makes sense. I think that sounds a lot of sense. And especially, I mean, again, the vastness of the CA course requires you to form a plan. But with a plan comes a possibility of you not meeting the plan. That's quite a realistic possibility. So I think we need to be flexible enough to know that we might not be able to achieve our targets or go as per the plan. And that is where, we need to be flexible and revise the plans on those, something that back in 11, 12, we studied in business studies. And that is what we practically implement in our CA journey. That thanks for sharing that, Shikha, really helpful. I think great insights, all of you. But one last question I want to ask each one of you is: obviously, you've achieved a great feat of All India Rank 1, All India Rank 2. I mean, that's really a great feat, and is going to stay alongside you for your entire life. But as of this moment, what do you think is your ambition going forward? Where do you something that probably the interviewers have been asking you already? Where do you see yourself 5, 10 years down the line? Let's start with Harsh.
Yeah, I've always dreamt of starting up any business and being the top level of that business and enlarging it and achieving for this. So, but what I can say is actually owner of any multinational. was my dream. I'm not saying that I'll achieve it. But yeah, for doing this, I'm not much of interested in consulting or let's say any sort of these things. I'm interested in going up to an industry and understanding how actually business runs, how they actually do the business, and what is the processes and supply chain and all. And then so what I personally feel is 5, 10 years down the line, I'll like to see myself as a finance manager or let's say any higher post in any industry. And let's say for next 20, 30, 40 years, I'll plan to start up my business.
Got it. What about you, Shikha?
So I don't know how many years down the line, but I definitely see myself pursuing teaching as a profession and being as happy as I could. So that's my plan.
Short and sweet. What about you, Ramyashree?
To me, my ambition would be to excel in whatever path I choose in the future and to be satisfied. I should not have any regrets that I could have done this, could have. So to live the life to the fullest. Yeah.
That's great. I think Ramyashree definitely is Rancho in real sense, living life to the fullest. But great, guys. I mean, really happy for you once again. Heartiest congratulations for your feat and all the very, very, very best for all your future endeavors, whatever you plan to do. May you achieve success in all your further steps of life. And definitely proud to welcome you to the CA fraternity. So, welcome CA Shikha, CA Harsh, and CA Ramyashree. Thanks a lot for sparing your valuable time. Really, really grateful to you and all the very best. Thanks a lot. Thanks to our
Thank
audience
you.
as well for
Thank
giving. Sorry, Shikha, please go ahead.
No, just I was just saying thanks.
Thanks, Shikha. Thanks, Harsh. Thanks, Ramyashree. And thanks to our audience as well for giving it a watch. I hope you did like this video. Any questions you have for these guys, I think you can reach out to them over LinkedIn. I am sure they'll be generous enough to answer these questions, but I am also sure they've answered most of these questions, the frequently answered ones over, I think, a lot of interviews that they've given. So do watch out those interviews first before asking them questions because I know, they're going to redirect you to those interviews anyways. Thanks, everyone, and all the best for your exams as well. Bye.